This ain't no audiobook. This ain't a radio play. This is a Happy Cloud AudioToon. It's that time again for the Further Adventures of Rune, Return of the Miggins, brought to you by Happy Cloud Media and Chrome Toothpaste. Chapter 32, Within the Bowels of the Angerhold. The chief and primary fuel of Trogdine is a naturally occurring vapor called bolognium. It's vaguely periwinkle in its natural state, and smells considerably like rotting onions. But fill up your carriage with premium grade, and you'll make it all the way from Vorn to Serpentine on half a tank. Absurdium, the elemental mineral that makes aeroflight possible, is mined primarily from the Skylands. Skylands are enormous inverted mountains hovering clicks in the air over the Western Ocean, thanks to their rich veins of absurdium. To make things easier, Trogdinian children are taught that bolognium is back and forth, absurdium is up and down. Architects were quick to adapt these technologies into their designs. Several decades before the First Cornelian War, a popular architectural movement swept the land, known in big building circles as Vagranta Constructajo, or, in the more popular Flemish parlance, Boorman Towers, named for their designer, Boorman Towers. These siege towers were constructed high, wide, and about 35 feet off the ground. It was a symbol of status to own one of these massive and migratory skyscrapers. Lesser status was attained by working within one. Grudging respect was granted to those who visited. San Sum Tower, once the seat of the royal government in Rovell, was among these Vigrantas, and when rebellious saboteurs managed to crash it into the mundane mountains, the Second Cornelian War came to its end. During the war, such constructions were also used as battle buildings, siege towers that could also house administration and upper management. Nearly all such balistrocos, as they're called in Scooperish, were destroyed during the wars or immediately after, to discourage both mismanagement and the continuation of the 60-hour work week. One of the very few remaining of such Boorman towers was known and feared as the Angerhold, gliding silently across Bremel, its front face carved in a horrible and terrifying visage, open mouth and silent roar and jagged teeth, reminiscent of Pantagruel or John Milius. Within, Rune and Dusty were imprisoned. Remember that berserky prison they threw us in, Chief? Packed nose to elbow with Spurgan soldiers, until you got us more space by getting everyone else executed? Yeah, what of it? This is much nicer. As far as beds went, the steel slabs chained to the walls each had a mattress, thin and bare as they were, so they definitely slept on worse. It was certainly roomy. Rune and Dusty were completely alone, except for the poor schmookok in the iron helmet sitting in a corner. He held up a hand in greeting. "Yo," said the prisoner. "Buffy St. Marie! I say, dear fellow, you gave us quite the start." "He knew I was here," said the prisoner, gesturing at Rune. "He's been ignoring me for a couple of minutes now." Dusty looked aghast. Rune shrugged. "Well, we're here for you now, my friend. What can we call you?" "My name has been lost to time." "Something silly, was it? I can relate. My father was the decorated General Warrant's War Machine McKinery, and since I was named after my grandfather on my mother's side, old War Machine wanted me to keep his surname, but then, well, I'd be Dusty McKinery," finished Rune, wanting to reach the end of introductions before they were executed. "He's Dusty, I'm Rune, you're the guy with no name. For brevity's sake, you may call me," he jerked on the chain, securing his waist to the wall, "Link." "My bars and starters, and you're a prisoner of this Leto?" "Nay, I was put here on orders of his wife. Lady Di, his current wife, Zelda." "Egad, Link, the legendary Prisoner of Zelda." Shut up. "What became of his first wife?" asked Rune. He really had liked Lady Di. She had been a Gesserit, but had been forced to marry the weird, slithery git upstairs to gain power over Benny and her sisters. Rune hated to think it had cost Di her life. Link shook his head, jingling his chain. "No one can say. Perhaps she's still out there, having escaped Flamesweller before it became what it is." He held up both of his hands, all fingers crossed. "Who did that to you?" Dusty demanded. "Arthritis," admitted Link. "The Rotter," misunderstood Dusty. "You are to be kept tomorrow," said Link, not asking a question. "Not if I have anything to say about it," said Rune, already searching the stones for loose mortar. My marvelous wife will be here soon to rescue us. Have no fear, but say, is this fate so fearful? I myself prefer headgear as affectation. The color never really concerned me." "They're gonna cram our heads into a RedCap, Dusty, and the RedCap will take over our brains. It is indeed a horrible fate." "Worse than the iron chapeau they stuffed you into?" "Oh no, my new friend. This mask is of my own devise. I donned it before I was imprisoned here." "Sweet Ermengarde." "Why ever would you do that?" "Because I once swore the cap, and I will never again allow my will to be invaded." Link rapped his knuckles against the all-encompassing iron helmet. "Only I can open this mask. Within, I am safe from the Red Cap's whispers." Rune knelt down to Link's eye level. "Explain." "That's what the caps do. It's what makes them so enticing. It's not the anger. It's the whispers." "Explain further." The cap goes on your head, and you could take it off immediately. Takes time for it to bond to your brain, but it starts to whisper to you.
Again, Link stopped talking. Rune sighed and coaxed him further.
What? What does it whisper? You're right.
Dusty got it immediately.
Oh, the angrier you get, the more it feeds, and the more it confirms your worst fears. You're right. It's intoxicating. I say, that's just insidious. The only time it ever told me I was wrong was when I cut it off with this.
He tossed an object to the floor, where it clattered and skidded to rest at Rune's foot. It might have lived a previous life as a butter knife, the edge sharpened over and over again to ruin against rough stones. Responding to a flashback, Link rubbed the top of his smooth iron pate, as if caressing a scarred and pitted scalp where once was a creature whispering toxins to his mind. Rune got to his feet and resumed his inspection of the walls, searching for weaknesses, hidden weapons, the usual prison story stuff.
Though I've never been more than 4 feet from this bed, I doubt you'll find much to aid your escape.
Undeterred, Rune continued poking about. Wiggling loose stones and kicking at the stairs wasn't his first dungeon stint. For his part, Dusty was unworried and tossed his carcass onto a bunk.
Have no fear, Chief, for my beloved and our compatriots should be here in no time to free us. You think so, do you?
Said Rune, still crawling.
Shadow could have taken them anywhere. Could be in Flythe right now. They could be at the Scar. There's no way to tell. Have faith, dear friend, for this is my Red Scarlett we're talking about. Capable woman?
Asked Link.
The capablest. Capablest. Well, however it goes. Most capable,
said Rune.
That's the one. And I do wish you'd sit down and relax, Chief. 'Twall'll be fine. Uh-huh. Well, let me ask you something, Chief,
said Dusty, rolling over and propping his head up on one paw.
When has it ever not been?
Since it was impossible to argue with such grammar, Rune resumed his review. After the better part of an hour, Rune had a small pile of rubble to work with alongside Link's shankified butter knife. It still wasn't especially sharp. Rune would have to use some oomph to penetrate an esophagus.
Why didn't you just use this to break your locks?
Link shrugged.
Escape is impossible. Beyond this room are 5 different methods of certain death. Here,
he spread his hands.
Fewer?
Link gave him a thumbs up. In Flythe, that means your meal has arrived. Rune dropped down to the foot of the 3 steps leading up to the door, attempting in vain to sharpen the blade upon the stones.
I'm telling you, Chief, Scarlett's going to be here any time now. And I'm telling you, Dusty, if that door opens, I'm stabbing the first thing that comes through it. We're going to make Scarlett very angry then. And me as well, should you mar an inch of her velvety skin.
There came a mechanical shriek, then a shudder from deep within the bowels of the Angerhold, rattling all within. They'd stopped moving. The Angerhold was silent. Rune didn't dare breathe. The fight was coming for them.
See?
Said Dusty, stretching his arms.
I'm sure that's our Scarlett now, impeding the progress of evil. Your optimism is boundless,
said Link, sincerely impressed.
Wherever Scarlett is, she's got her own problems to deal with. We're on our own, Dusty,
Rune said, practicing his stabbing.
Put a yuck on it. 5 yucks. You're on.
To Link, Dusty said.
Are you coming with?
Link shook his head, rattling his chain.
No, I'm good.
Dusty shrugged and stretched. A shadow blocked the light from the gap beneath the door.
Here we go,
said Rune, tightening his grip on Link's little shank thingy, resentful of how dirty that sounded. On cue, the door began to rattle. Rune crouched down into an attack stance. Dusty didn't move, remaining in unworried recline. Slowly, the heavy cell door creaked open. A shadowy figure stood in the doorway. With a barking snarl, Rune sailed through the air. Coming down hard, he buried the none too sharp, scalp-peeling, shankified blade into the left eye of Lord Leto, the most unpleasantly moist. So impaled, the despot wobbled on his feet. Rune turned to Dusty.
Ha! Wait for it.
Like a marionette suddenly free of strings, Lord Leto's already deadified corpse collapsed in a heap and tumbled down the stairs. They saw that the noble's spine had been forcibly removed. The gaping hole in his back gave it away. Taking Leto's place in the doorway now was a massive body. The shadow it cast weighed 10 pounds on its own. Rune sniffed the air.
Chanel number 5, he thought. Bloodlust.
The voice that came from the silhouette was deep and guttural and entirely familiar, even if the scent was not.
Figured you'd do something like that.
That voice. Rune squinted as the figure entered the room, the face finding the light.
Thorson? Thorson Yeti Skull? No one.
The figure ducked through the door in a crouch and stood up to its full height, and it was a fearsome height indeed, almost 7 feet tall and half again as wide, and even taller in the curious pink platform boots, darling though they were. The kilt was the tartan of the Yeti Skull clan, but it had been pressed and adorned with sequins down both sides. The fuzzy faux Gucci sporan had been dyed to match the shoes. In one delicately manicured hand, the figure held a massive battle axe. Rune remembered its name, Doom Splitter.
No one ever calls me that,
said the terrifying mass before them.
I've killed hundreds for calling me by that name.
The mountainous warrior finally found the light. Instead of the great red beard swallowing his face, Yeti Skull was disturbingly clean-shaven. Her hawkish nose pierced through the right nostril with a subtle silver ring, her hair black as pitch and framing her face with perfect bangs.
Boys, comrades, and I'm sure you didn't know that.
Yeti Skull broke into a massive grin, an emerald the size of a walnut flashing in a front incisor.
Name's Betty now,
She said.
Betty Yeti Skull. How's it been, Rune? Catch up later,
said Scarlet, mostly hidden behind the massive berserker. Dusty sat up on his bench and gave Rune a cocky smile.
Ha, you owe me 5 yucks.
And they were off again.
Thus concludes this episode of the Further Adventures of Rune. Tune in next week via your favorite audio delivery system.
Don't forget, full episodes and super mega chunks are available on Patreon. But you knew that already.